What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And in 2022 and 2021, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world, and still doing that show, still enjoying it immensely. So before we do anything else, let's do some house stuff. First of all, follow the Dr. Vibe show on YouTube. And when you hit the follow on YouTube, also the notification button so you get notified. Also follow the Dr. Vibe show on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also to advertise your business, product, or service on the Dr. Vibe show or any of the conversations I host, email me, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And then finally, join the Primetime Saturdays with LaLa Discord group, because that's what you're watching. Please email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. Also, before I get Aisha and LaLa up, follow them, okay? Please follow them. I'm telling you, you need to follow them. So not only we're going to start following, let's have them. They're here. They're here in the house. LaLa, you have yourself on mute, LaLa.
There I go.
There you is. Good. What's going on, everybody?
Good. Been a week.
Great. Yeah, it has been a week. And the time is really fine because like Thanksgiving is Thursday.
Yes, well,
I can't even believe we're here. Like, you say November to me, and I'm like, how did we get here? I mean, this whole year has just been a complete blur.
Yeah. Well, we in Canada celebrated it last month, so we're already turkeys or whatever you eat. But speaking of which, what's going to be on if you're celebrating Thanksgiving? What's going to be dinner?
Oh, it's usual stuff like the turkey, mac and cheese, collard greens. My mother makes jollof rice to go with candied yams. My grandmother every year since before I was born makes a Jello mold with shredded carrots. And my mother's young, it's a refreshing thing to add though. Instead of like she has, I prefer that to cranberry sauce. It's an orange Jello mold with carrots. And my youngest aunt, my mother's youngest sister, that is like her favorite thing every year. It's like whatever's left of it, she takes home because she just loves that part of it. And usually my grandmother used to do all of the cooking. When my father's mother was alive, we did Thanksgiving at my grandmother's house, my mother's mother, then went to my father's mother, who cooked for an army because, she had 11 kids and they all had kids. And so now that my mother's mother is in her late 80s, we all help out with doing different things. And so we usually do Wednesday at my mom's house, just me, my sisters, my nephew, my daughter, and then we go to my grandmother's house on Thursday. But we haven't decided about Wednesday this year because one of my sisters and my nephew's going to South Carolina to have Thanksgiving with my dad.
I'm still trying to get by the Jello with carrots. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, she makes it in like a little ring mold, and it's like the shredded carrots with orange flavored Jello, and it's sweet. It's refreshing. It's like
I like that.
It's got the tartness of a cranberry, like you get with cranberry sauce, but at the same time, it's got like the texture, like obviously the texture of Jello, which I actually like better than the cranberry.
Oh, okay. Wow. Things are coming in. So already, let's say hello to Jen. Number one.
Hey,
and then
Jen.
Regina goes, don't knock Jello salads. Some are super good. I'm not knocking them, man.
No, some are good. But if you ever get a chance, Google Jello salads. There's a whole history of them going back to like the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah, it's really
some of them are a bit scary because like I've seen them where people have put things like olives and shrimp and lettuce in one Jello salad. I'm like, what's
I
this?
know who made that up. Yeah, no,
Okay,
some
so
of them are quite
okay,
scary.
I'm just asking the live family, and even if you're watching or listening on replay, you can put in your comments. Who's had Jello salad before? Have you even heard of it? You've Lala, you have?
Yeah. My
It
mom used to
depends.
cook for a special private club all the time, and they always like that kind of stuff. So she did the sweeter side stuff like Aisha's.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. So, okay. So Regina says I'm making sweet potato pie for our feast.
That's my favorite dessert.
I
Period.
haven't had that in so long. Like we have something Jamaican heritage called potato pudding.
That must be the equivalent of what in the South they
Probably.
call a sweet potato pone, and it's just
Corn,
like
yeah, we
sweet
have
potato pie
corn pork.
without the crust.
Yeah. Oh, also more people try. Hey, thank you everyone for chiming in live. Right. Good morning. Good evening. Sorry. Fitness IQ Cam. Oh, otherwise known as KSEYL RWFQ. That's her hack name. But she's not a fan of the Jello pudding though. She goes, yuck.
The dough, yeah. You know what? Those funny. My mother's mother. The Thanksgiving dinner. It's usually pretty simple, pretty much the same thing every year. But my father's mother was alive, and we were young, and she would start cooking the week before because she would
Yeah.
have. There would be 3 different kinds of meats. There would be, and then the desserts were astronomical. She'd make a coconut cake. She'd make a yellow cake with chocolate frosting, an apple pie, sweet potato pies, pumpkin pie. Sometimes she'd make
Mm.
like a cheesecake pie. It was just a lot of stuff. And like the sides were ridiculous. And so, haven't been to a Thanksgiving like that with my father's mother since like the 1990s. But yeah, she used to put her foot in it.
Oh,
Now
right.
that's always been our tradition. This is just hubby and I this year, but that's how I roll. I mean, in my house, when I'm doing Thanksgiving, what Aisha said is what I do. I have many different desserts. I do 3-4 different kind of meats. You start cooking a week ahead.
Oh, you be
Mhm.
still my aching sweet tooth heart. My gosh. Oh, God. So Fitness IQ goes. So I was saying yuck with the shrimp in it.
Yeah, but if you get a chance, look at the history of Jello salads. It's a really interesting thing. But they came up. The most disgusting one I've seen was they took canned tomato soup, Campbell's tomato
Yeah.
soup, and mixed it with clear Jello. And
Oh,
it was really gross looking. It sounded gross,
oh,
but what they did was there's a show, these shows that I watch on the History Channel, like The Food That Built America and things like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they were talking about there was that Jello and Campbell's and Kraft and all of these brands needed to make ways for people to use their products other than like the holidays and things like that. So they came
Right.
up with all these recipe books. Like was really popular here at that time was the Betty Crocker cookbook. Everybody had a Betty Crocker
yes,
cookbook.
yes,
So and Betty
yes.
Crocker always had all the brands that she was affiliated with as the ingredients. And so you find that a lot in American cuisine, was that a lot of our recipes and things that are foods here, whether they're popular or not, were driven by advertising dollars and to get people to buy products. And the consensus is on these Jello salads, when you read about them, nobody really liked them.
Right.
They were just something to make.
Right.
Wow. Okay, so Regina goes. Your face said otherwise, Dr. Vibe. Some jelly molds are pretty gross, though. My neighbor
Yeah.
used to make one with sour cherries. That was great. Now that would be all right.
That with cherry Jello would probably be really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Regina goes, Lala, I hope you're okay. This holiday will be tough. Hugs. Agreed. Understood.
Thank you. I
Understood.
appreciate that.
And Fitness IQ again goes, my gosh, grandma threw it down. Same to you, Aisha.
Let me tell you though, it wasn't just Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh. This would be like, picture the 80s especially. And all of my grandmother's children had children at that time. Now, mind you, all the grandchildren weren't alive at that point. There were a few, maybe like 5 or 6 who hadn't been born at that point. But you're talking about over 30 that were, plus second cousins and their kids and third cousins. So my grandmother was one of like 7 herself, and then all of her siblings who were alive at that time, their kids and stuff would come, not just Thanksgiving, but every Sunday and Saturday at my grandmother's house. So Saturday she would do things like cooking on the grill and stuff, and hamburgers, hot dogs, all that stuff. But because she started cooking early for Sunday, some of the things she'd make 2 of everything. So Sunday dinners were ridiculous. Okay, it was like she made a turkey every Sunday, but she also made fried chicken, and sometimes there'd be a roast. Sometimes most of us didn't eat pork on that side, but sometimes she would make like a small ham or whatever. She'd make oxtails and rice, and I mean, it would just be
oxtail
astronomical.
The co-host of my Monday and Friday show, he loves his oxtail.
Oh, me too.
He loves his oxtail. So okay, so let's do. Regina goes, I love food talk. Well, next week in Toronto. Well, next week in Canada, it's By Blacks, which is Black Canada's #1 online magazine. They have their fall restaurant week where there's special prefix menus at Black restaurants right across Canada. I got to behave myself because, I'm on my regime. My water is at my feet, by the way. And I gotta behave myself with it, but I'm going to break a little bit because I know some of that food, I'm just going to go, so I probably, I don't,
this is a shameless plug, but if you ever come to Connecticut, first of all, you have to try pizza, and you have to get Pizza New Haven. It's always on Food Network when they talk about the #1 pizza spot. It's always Pepe's right here in New Haven. But apart from that, if you want to get soul food in Connecticut, go to Sandra's Next Generation.
All right.
Let me tell you, Sandra uses her mother's recipes, and she's been in business for a long time. And I mean, she makes the best soul food in Connecticut, period, hands down.
Done deal.
And just yes.
All right.
Yes. I haven't found anybody else throughout the state whose food that I enjoy like that.
Okay, well, before we get into our conversation pieces, so as I've been sharing with people, I'm changing my dieting. I'm probably now about 70% plant-based. So if people are watching the Morning Vibe, I shared this last week, but I'll share it on here. So earlier on last week, went to my grocery store, made sure I was buying my almond milk and all this stuff and all that. And then what comes up in my face? The meat section. So Dr. Vibe goes, you know what? I want to treat myself. Picked up a package of beef ribs. I said, yeah, I'm gonna barbecue them. Yeah, this is good. Then I get home, open up the back seat. I can't find the beef ribs.
What?
Hold on. So I know. So I'm sort of going, what? Like, what's going on? What? I can't find them. I said, do I need to go back to the grocery store? Like, they would have told me if I would have left it. So I am one of those people, though. I keep my receipts. The printed receipts.
Yes.
So I looked at my receipt. I didn't buy the beef ribs.
Oh wow!
Really?
I had it in my hand. So.
You had it all fixed in your head.
The brain said, no. Mm-mm. So I just laughed about that,
Yeah, my dad used to put his foot in some beef ribs too, and he taught me how to make them.
Ribs,
Let me tell you, marinate those bad boys in beer.
I love to barbecue all year round. I'm not even using my barbecue that much anymore. Like I used to, I'm going, wow, You
don't grill your vegetables though?
No, that's what I'm gonna start doing next. I'm gonna start doing the growing thing. Like, hey, Dr. Vibe already has his apron, so the next, I got my blue denim apron, right? Excuse me. Yeah. So Fitness IQ Cam says, Dr. Vibe, you can go to veggie options or vegetarian vegan restaurants. And those from Jamaica would know Duppy took it away. So if you don't know what that means, Fitnant, you explain in the comments. I ain't going to try to explain that here. And Regina says, universe is conspiring against you, Dr. Vibe, you know.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I tell you, zucchini and eggplant on the grill.
Oh, I know it's good.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
You know, and I'm bad at everyone. I keep on saying I'm going to share some of the recipes in the Discord group, but I love my veggie burgers that are based with zucchini. Oh,
I mean, if you
good.
just eat them as like in kebabs with like zucchini, yellow squash, onion, green pepper, tomato on the skewer, so good. And eggplant, if you slice it, brush it with a little olive oil, sprinkle a little salt.
Yes, with olive oil, yes. Fitnet's IQ Cam is reading your mind saying you can barbecue veggies. Absolutely.
Yep, I do it all the time.
I don't know what's this. Is this Regina's that say? I don't know how to pronounce that.
They must be like a vegetarian alternative.
Say the ribs, okay. And Fitnet's IQ clarifying for the non-Jamaicans up there, Duppy means ghost. The ghost took it away. So there you go. So we have some patois interpretation on Primetime Saturdays. So since you're all hungry, don't leave the conversation and go get something to eat now. You got to stick it out for a bit now. So let's get our first conversation piece up. And the first thing, oh boy. It's rising anymore. The rise of hate in America, in America. So who wants to chat about that first?
I mean, we're not just talking about anti-Semitism and Islamophobia anymore. It is, or even racial or LGBTQ hate. People are just hateful. Period. It's like they find something to dislike and hate people about. And the reason I wanted to chat about this is because last week was Veterans Day, and we're going to talk about the military later, but that speech that Trump gave on Veterans Day, where he talked about, and mind you, people always made the comparison to Hitler and Mussolini, but he was literally talking about any of his enemies being vermin. So this would be people who didn't vote for him. And he calls them fascists, Marxists. These people don't even know what these terms mean. Okay. But yeah, just he's to say what we've been saying, which is that the hate, the terrorism, the hate in this country is coming from within as opposed to without. When we say those kinds of things, we're talking about things that like happened at Charlottesville. We're talking about what happened at the Top Supermarket in Buffalo. We're talking about what happened in Uvalde and in El Paso and at Charleston, those kinds of things. What these people are talking about, the quote unquote hate from inside, is just people who do not agree with their politics.
Exactly. So if you disagree, you're the enemy. And gone are the days where we could have any kind of conversation. People want to put you in a box now. I mean, you can't be anywhere in the middle. You either or. And this is further driving a more huge wedge among Americans. But when you have leaders such as the ones that we are all under now, Congress, Senate, the orange one, he who shall not be named, that is their purpose. They see that they can drive this, and it's the hate is off the charts. And every time they open their mouth, they're just spewing garbage. And unfortunately, we have so many sheeple, I call them sheeple, that just fall into line and march to the slaughterhouse, that I don't see this changing anytime soon, because you have to change your mentality in yourself first. Then you can change it in your home. Then you can change it in your community. But right now there is so much festering darkness of tar. I just do not see us getting out of this anytime soon. And we have taken massive leaps backwards.
Yeah. And I told my daughter this yesterday, because I was watching a morning news program on MSNBC, and they were talking about the quote unquote rise of hate on college campuses. Now, I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen. I do remember my daughter telling me that someone spray painted graffiti on the Black Lives Matter rock at UConn. If you are a Black college student, one of the reasons that we go to HBCUs, and it was the best experience of my life, don't have to deal with that garbage on campus, right? You can just be a student, and it's one of the rare times in your life where you just get to go and be a student and not be just a Black student. But I also went to a college where there were only 10 of us, okay, out of like 1,500 in a city that's majority minority, let me say. But I know that experience. But this back and forth thing about, oh, why aren't these college kids, picking a side and staying on this side? I don't think the people that are saying these things, you're talking about late Gen Xers, older than the three of us, late Gen Xers. We're talking about the ones born in like 1964, 1965, so close to the line of being early baby boomers and baby boomers and other generations. Like, I don't understand why these kids, don't see things this way. It's either black or white. That's because we are in a time where the majority of students who don't identify as black or white identify as being mixed race in colleges. This is the part of the largest number of mixed race children you have in colleges. It's also probably the largest number of mixed faith children that you have in colleges. I was reading one local op-ed. I don't know if she's at Yale or she's at some university, but she's talking about being both Palestinian through her father and Jewish through her mother. And that she felt very divided on some issues because she didn't want to feel like she was choosing one parent over the other. And that they're both my parents. And so I see the humanity in both sides. Mm-hmm. And I think that as long as we have this black and white mentality in the United States, it's like either you're with us or you're against us. It is ridiculous. And people, we have to be clear. This isn't something that was born, post 2001. This you're with us or you're against us mentality comes directly out of George W. Bush's mouth. After September 11th, he went and he said those words. You're either with us or you're against us. And I've heard that echoed so much. I've especially heard it echoed a lot from white males in this country. And so we're either with you or against. Well, is your foot on my neck? If your foot's on my neck, then yeah, no, I'm not going to be with you. I'm not going to participate in my own oppression. So these are the kinds of things that these conversations about hate have to be much more nuanced, because we're not just talking about a relatively small number of biracial, multiracial children. We're talking about a country where we are now 18 and younger. The majority is minority, okay? At least one marginalized race group or more, okay? The majority of children in this country are children of color. So either you're going to get on the boat and deal with it, or you're going to resist, and this rise in hate that we see is going to spark. And think about it. The reason that Donald Trump is able to get with those things, because he speaks to a white male anger that people understand and they appreciate, because they look at the rest of the country and they're like, oh my gosh, where is this coming from? They're not just looking at the rest of the country. They're looking in their own families. Yep. And they're seeing, mixed race children pop up in their own families in ways that they haven't seen before. And so anything like this is viewed as a threat, whereas the country prides itself on being this multiracial, multicultural salad of things, right? Are we really a salad when we're trying to make people assimilate? No, but we can't pretend that, oh yeah, we're really accepting, bring us, you're poor, you're hungry, you're tired, only so we can step on them.
I was singing Schoolhouse Rock today because I'm the generation of Schoolhouse Rock. And, one of my favorite ones coming up was The Great American Melting Pot. And it talks about my grandmother came from Russia with her with a backpack on her back or something like that. And it talks about how lovely our country is and how Lady Liberty represents all of us. And it's a beautiful concept that we would love to embrace. But I'm here to tell you that is not the case now. If you are not white, male, you really don't have much of a say so. But this is also leads into these groups of what is this, mothers, ladies
Mothers
of
for
liberty,
Liberty and those kinds.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so they step right into line. And at all times, America has always claimed to embrace other cultures because that's what we're supposed to be. However, they are the first to tell you that you're not enough. You're never enough. You always saw the signs. It wasn't just no blacks here going through the back door. It was if you were Jewish, if you were Italian, if you were Chinese, if you were of Asian descent, you don't belong here. You're lesser than what we have. So we have this contradiction of what we want our country to be. But the reality of it is what it's showing right now. It's showing its true face.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, there's so much to be said about the Planned Parenthood right now, Moms for Liberty.
Yeah, that's it.
You would think that they would spend less time focusing on whether or not there are books by Black authors in libraries and more time on whether or not they're raising the next mass shooter. But
right.
I put that aside. This week, like we mentioned, is Thanksgiving in America. We are still looking at people believing the myth that, oh, the Pilgrims came to America, the Native Americans opened their arms, taught them how to fish, and they live side by side. And this, you know, and people are like, oh, you know, but what about Pocahontas? And you know, and they talk about their Disney. Pocahontas was a 9-year-old girl.
Yes.
John Brown was how old? Let's be very clear about these things. And then you have people, the abundance. It's very shocking to me, the abundance of white Americans, particularly in the South, who are like, oh yeah, you know, my great-great-grandmother was a Cherokee princess. Well, first of all, you're assuming that all Native Americans in that region were Cherokee, and that's not true. There are hundreds upon hundreds of different tribes in that region. But also too, any Native American person will tell you, a princess? What are you talking about? That's not us. This is this fictitious thing. And so because people don't want the record corrected and tell the truth about the Trail of Tears, about the smallpox blankets, about the many communicable diseases that were deliberately spread among Native Americans to wipe them out, the stealing of land, because we aren't truthful about how ugly and brutal slavery is, because we aren't truthful about the fact that this country had concentration camps that we put Asian people in, because we're not truthful about the fact that in 2018 we had a president separating Latino children from their parents, infants. Yes. We are allowing hate to fester in this country. And as long as we keep getting these sanitized versions of our own history so people can feel good, we're never going to be able to overcome that. And here's the thing. Yes, it's uncomfortable. And the fact that people, when they talk about it, it's always amazing to me where someone's like, well, you know, he was Black. Why are you whispering?
Yeah. Why are you whispering?
As if the person didn't know themselves. I mean, it's not that the culture of this country, that it's impolite and bad manners to talk about uncomfortable subjects, is why we are here and why we ended up with a Donald Trump. Because if people were doing their job, news media, regular people, if people were having conversations, difficult conversations, got a little bit uncomfortable, a person like that wouldn't be able to survive. Because, I mean, honestly, people don't like to talk about race because, oh, it's uncomfortable. You know what? Think about having to survive it. That's the discomfort. When people say, oh, I'm tired of hearing about it, try living it.
Right.
We've been tired.
Right. Which, by the way, I need to tell y'all, I need to shout out Pink right now, because with all these banning of the books and things of that nature, she just announced that down in Florida, she will be giving away banned books.
Yeah.
She's not for this, but this is how we counteract things. This is how we have to step up and say, no, you're not going to silence the truth. You're just not. Because I feel like my whole life growing up in school, I was lied to. I mean, I was lied to. I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Y'all had me in my little Indian hat talking about, we were sitting down with corn and that is just that's not the way. And we don't serve anyone, white, black, purple, green, blue, by hiding and not discussing the truth. Sure, it's uncomfortable. Okay, it's the same thing as you don't want to talk about sex with your kids, right? Like, if we don't talk about it, it's not going to happen, right? No, you have to tackle the hard things, discuss why they happen and why they can't repeat themselves. Children are not stupid. Okay, yeah. Children grasp on to things quickly and they don't have the same limitations in their minds that we do. It is us who put them behind those bars of limitations, and with our actions and our words, this is where they learn which way to go.
Yeah.
So we have to start this in our own homes.
We got to be clear. No one's giving copies of The Feminine Mystique to kindergartners.
No.
Okay. No one who does that. Look, the only child that probably would have read that in kindergarten is mine, because she read a whole book on chess moves by the time she was in second grade. But aside from that, I mean, MSNBC has this documentary coming out tomorrow called Periodical, where they're actually talking about menstruation with girls. Think about something that is as fundamental as that. And they're finding out the majority of women, millennials, Gen Z, don't know a whole lot about their bodies and the process of it, because we don't talk about it, because we consider it as being something sexual when it's apart from sex. Because guess what? Half your population experiences this. Period. Right. We don't get the population that we have without people experiencing this, and we mystify that topic to the point that it's so bad we don't talk about that we don't even talk about menopause. Let me tell you, I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me these things? Why didn't anybody tell me that I'm going to wake up about 6 times in the night pouring sweat from hot flashes? And it's so funny because, I actually had this conversation with my mother's sister, my youngest aunt. We were talking about this. I'm like, oh my God, do these go away? And she said, well, pretty much no, not for a while. And I was like, oh, because she's still in the middle of it. I'm like, this is the part that I sit back and I look and I'm realizing I'm going through this pretty much the same way I went through learning about it in the first place. My mother gave me a book, and then there was that little old rickety film strip that they showed you in 4th grade that you had to get your parents' permission. We had to get our parents' written permission to see a film strip with just girls, because they separated the girls and the boys, just girls, about what
our
a period is and how it happens. And the film strip was wholly inaccurate because I'm waiting for little drops like they drew in the animation, and it doesn't happen that way. And I was really surprised because I thought I was dying when I'm looking. I'm like, oh my gosh, it won't stop. What is this? Because we take these subjects that are uncomfortable for certain people. Think about it. Periods aren't uncomfortable for women. They're uncomfortable to talk about for men.
Exactly.
Right? Let's be very clear. And the thing of it is that the more we get comfortable with these conversations, the less likely you're going to have somebody delivering my Instacart order and getting the wrong pads.
Right.
Okay?
Right. So,
right. So
just
we have to, these uncomfortable conversations, we have to have them, because as long as we don't, we have this rise in hate. You want to talk about the rise in hate toward women in this country, right? I mean, sexism always existed, but the blatant hate, you have these incels who just hate women because they can't get one.
And be the first one who would try to pick you up. And then if you politely say, no, I'm not interested, be the first one to call you and turn
or and some take it even further. There was this Black woman that I read about a couple of years back who was at a club with her friends. Guy came up, tried to talk to her. She's like, no, I'm just here with my friends. I'm not trying to meet anybody. And he kept pursuing her the whole night. And she kept being nice, rejecting him. And then finally she's like, you know what? I'm done. She told her friend she wanted to leave. As they were walking out, he shoots her in the head.
So these are the things that have now become the norm because we don't want to address them head on. So this whole cesspool of hate is not just one kind of hate. It is a whole pudding of hate. It depends, if you're not this, we don't like you. If you're not that, we don't like you. If you're not Christian, we don't like you. If you're not this, we're not that. And we have to stop this. We have to stop this. We must address this in a reasonable way. But where do we start the reason? That's my issue. At what point does someone get out of their hatred and decide to do something about it? You can't make someone change that doesn't want to change. So this is where I have a concern on how long it's going to take us to even come to the table.
Yeah, and we don't even on the front where a lot of our hate is based around political issues. We're political beings, period, in this country. If you aren't a white, straight male, Christian male, everything about you is political. But when they started allowing people to bring their AR-15s,
yes,
open carry in political spaces, let's not forget those men plotted to kill the Michigan governor, Whitmer. Okay. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but they were showing up. Donald Trump was telling these people during the pandemic to go to their city halls, in town halls and all that stuff, because he didn't like the response that he was getting about how poorly he was handling COVID, and telling them to show up there. They're showing up there with their guns drawn. Yes. On people on politicians, on civil service workers, because they would rather not, they didn't want to wear a mask, but they were ready to carry their AR-15 and shoot somebody over that, over a daggone mask.
Over a mask.
All right, let's move it on to our next conversation topic. We got Regina saying our bodies, our cells need to be reissued. Used to give a copy of it to every female client, a female Bible. She also says sexism exists, but look at all the red states voting to legalize abortion. The Republicans refuse to acknowledge Republican women for choice.
And I'll say this before we move on to the next conversation. I think that is one of the problems that party is having right now in this country, is that we're going to talk about the antics in the House. But I keep thinking
nice segue coming.
I keep thinking about Chip Roy giving his little speech, like telling people, please tell me what I can go and tell my constituents that we as Republicans did in this House. Mind you, he didn't vote for the continuing resolution, but to tell people, what we did. The thing is that you are trying to do things that Americans do not want.
That's right.
You're trying to do things that go against what the people want, and you keep wondering why you're losing.
Okay, so let's Fitness IQ Cam goes, I like that female Bible. So as Aisha, it's a host dream when someone just segues without you having to segue. So as we said, as we got next, the embarrassing GOP cat fights in the House and Senate. So people, if you haven't read, you need to read. It's crazy. Like
it was Bad Girl Fight Club in the House and the Senate this week.
It sure was.
I was sitting there like, LaLa and I talk about getting our popcorn. All this. I was sitting there like, oh, what? Ooh, they about to fist fight?
It's like, so shameful. Look at how our government is running. It's not running. Because you're so busy fighting and hollering and calling each other names. Don't forget, the women are just as bad as the men up there, okay? How are you getting anything done? You're acting like 2-year-old kindergartners act better than you do. How are we supposed to run this country when we have a bunch of idiots who cannot handle their own emotions and keep their hands to themselves? But yet, once again, there you go. We ain't gonna worry about no guns because, hey, we got to take care of the guns. So if I'm for guns, then why not be for hands?
What senator in a committee hearing tries to fight the witness? This guy was a teamster. Yeah, he talked smack about you on social media. Are your feelings that tender that you could not deal with what he was saying? And here's my other thing. Why do we have a WWE person in the Senate? Why do we have football coaches in the Senate?
That's right.
Please make me understand this, because basically I think he done forgot where he was. This wasn't TNT. This wasn't the WWE owned by this lady that in my state.
That's right.
He was ready to come to blows. And here's the thing that gets me. If you were going to do it, you were going to do it. He stood up, was about to take his wedding. Who takes their wedding ring off to fight? If anything, your rings are going to give you the edge. But not only that, but Bernie Sanders tells you, stop. You're a member of Congress. Do you know how old Bernie Sanders is? Dude, if you were really about it and ready to fight and throw some hands, Bernie Sanders shaking his finger at you wouldn't have stopped. You're a coward. Right. And I'm also mad too anyway, because the fact that, dude, you have bigger fish to fry than whether or not you're going to fight somebody over a social media post. First thing you need to figure out is why there is no space in your two names. That's the first thing. What's his name? Mark Warren. You need to figure out why your parents gave you two first names and combined them as one. That's the first thing. And then you go to...
You didn't go there, Aisha.
Yes,
please, you didn't
and then
go
you go
there.
to the House. And in the House, that hearing where Josh, is it Markowitz on the Democratic side, was talking about James Comer's brother doing basically... And him and his brother doing basically what he's accusing Joe Biden of, and he calls him a little smurf. I'm like, you are one to talk. Your head looks like an upside down trapezoid. You look like a Lego character, and you're talking about somebody being a smurf.
Exactly. But
and
see,
then Marjorie Taylor Greene
look how small these. I mean, just look how small and stupid these comments are. You like me? No, I don't like you. I like him. This is the whole kindergarten thing all over again. What are we? I mean, name calling, and you're getting upset over a name calling. This is just absolutely absurd. They do not need to be serving as any type of person representing the United States of America. And the rest of the world, I'm gonna tell you right now, the rest of the world is like, what is going on in your country?
Right.
I have talked to so many people, they're like, you used to look up to you. We might have disagreed, but we used to look up to you. Now you just got a clown show. Remember, I posted the clown show because that's exactly what it looks like up there.
I mean, we're used to seeing these out and out brawls in the European governments.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not in this one.
Yes.
And it kills me too, because then in addition to all these other things, then you got bitter Kevin McCarthy doing his best Regina George impersonation as a mean girl, elbowing somebody in the kidneys. Dude, do you know how tender and how exposed and how dangerous that could be? You could damage that guy's kidney for real. Let me tell you something. Someone that has had two siblings who needed transplants. It's nothing to mess with. No. It's nothing to mess with. You're gonna I'm sorry, but that hallway was not tight. I've been down that hallway before. It's not that tight. There was no reason for you to rub up against him. And guess what? If you were going to get that close, Kevin, you got yourself your own security system following you because of the hate. So how is it that you were able to go through and just knock somebody in the rib cage because you were unhappy about how they did not vote to support you as speaker? You're that pissed? What you need to be pissed about is the fact that your conference, 100% of your conference voted for MAGA Mike. You couldn't even get that.
That's right.
and it is just so petty.
It's
It's
disgusting. It's just
ridiculous. You got
disgusting.
Marjorie Sporkfoot Greene over here talking about how well, if Rosa DeLauro knew anything, because she is 80, if she knew anything about, about Congress, we did pass a resolution. And Rosa DeLauro to say, I'm sorry, but if the gentlewoman doesn't know how Congress works, just because we pass it here, it still has to go through the Senate and then to the president's desk. So we haven't
But
stopped.
she
We have
doesn't.
not
Her
stopped.
and Bobblehead know nothing about the government. Nothing. All they are doing is talking heads for a constituency of people who like to think like them. They know nothing about our government. And the fact that they attack people, but then they're not woman enough or man enough to sit back and listen to the answers. What they want to do is come in, call names, spew hate, non-facts and lies, and then get up and walk out.
And then get the
What
video and
kind
put it on their
of
social media.
Yeah.
I mean, the other side of it too was her talking to Christopher Wray, head of what is he?
FBI.
Head of the FBI.
Yeah.
And she's talking about her social media and, well, do you see my social media? And was really literally offended that he's like, I don't do social media. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. This man runs the whole FBI. You think he has time to be sitting, boo checking Marjorie Taylor Greene on Twitter to see, oh, what's Marjorie posting? No. But the other part, you're right. They don't know how government works. Why? Because she does not know that Homeland Security is a totally separate agency from the FBI. Homeland Security, it's not even 25 years old yet. It just came out of 9/11. Okay,
right.
Well,
the FBI been an institution. She did not know that Christopher Wray had nothing to do with Homeland Security. He said, well, in Homeland Security, you guys, and he's like, I don't work for Homeland Security.
And I just loved his answer too. He was like,
it's bad enough. You would think that this sort of negative energy would be party versus another party, not within a party.
No,
right.
We are really witnessing this implosion. We really
are.
Because the thing of it is that they are so they all swallowed the blue pill, right?
Yeah.
From Trump. And they are so feet and heels dug into what America was in the 50s and not wanting to come into even a whole new century, okay, to deal with and live with what things are. And so here they are, they're fighting against the fact that no one is checking for Republicans and Republican values right now.
They self-hate. They self-hate themselves. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Speaking about it, I'm going to segue here. Speaking about interesting things that are going on with American politicians, let's go to Santos ethics report and House to vote on expulsion after the holiday. Good old George.
He's out of there.
Well, now see, the thing that bothers me is that they actually could have did an emergency vote on this resolution to expel him from Congress, but they decided not to, because guess what? And people are trying to chalk up all this drama in Congress to the fact that, oh, they worked 10 weeks straight. The rest of us working people are looking at them like,
yeah,
you worked 10 weeks straight, and you worked 10 weeks straight in what you can't handle it, because the rest of us, get, if we're lucky, get 1, maybe 2 vacation weeks per year and are working the rest of the year. Heck, most people have to work in and around the holidays. If you work retail, a lot of these people, Thanksgiving night after they wouldn't have finished even digesting the turkey before they got to go to work at Walmart. So let's be very clear. 10 weeks, you could have done this. This is something that was necessary and needed to be done. But next Tuesday, they're supposed to bring it to the floor, and by Wednesday, they should have a vote. But this dude, I'm sorry, he told us who he was. He made it very clear. And the fact that they had the opportunity to vote to expel him
and did
2.5 weeks ago and chose not to. Democrats have made a very good point. You know what? The Democrats have said, we had the same margin as Republicans when Nancy Pelosi was last speaker, and we still got stuff done. So if you're just why you're holding on to this one vote, you'll still be 3 votes ahead. Your problem is that you don't want to pass anything that you need Democratic help on, and 2, you don't want to pass anything that Democrats will vote for. So let's be clear. This is where you are, and here you are. You have this man who can't tell whether he's Hispanic or whether he's Jewish. He doesn't know what his real name is. His mother may or may not have died in September 11th. And then he's using the money for a campaign for Botox, waxing, and OnlyFans, and Ferragamo shoes, and all these things to pay his rent. It is absolutely fundamentally ridiculous, and he is stupid, because to think that you were going to be able to flaunt your expenditures and skirt the law with regard to campaign finance. We have campaign finance laws, George. You can't,
George.
but this goes back to what I said the last 2 episodes, right? If you want to be rich, if you really want a job where you can make money and be rich, you know where you need to go? Go to Congress.
That's right. Yeah, this physically makes me sick to my stomach, because he was so he's even in a different class than Bobblehead and Three Toes. He's even worse than Trump to me. Like, he's so sickening and so arrogant about everything that he's doing in such a condescending way. That's what it is. Yeah. Trump at least comes out and just says his hate, he hates it. But this dude here just acts like he's above the law in his own way, and that he is so much better. But look at all the stuff that he's spending it on. It's all luxury stuff, because he wants to live that glamorous life. And that's exactly what these young ones that are in his little clique over there, and which you'll see right now, they're going to throw him out of that little clique, are all doing, because Bobblehead's doing the same thing.
But you're right. He does want to live the glamorous life, and Sheila E. wants her song back, George.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This to me is the most ridiculous, most egregious. He bumped out a really good sitting House member for that district, and I'm sorry. Guess what? You people that voted for him in that 3rd district of New York, you got what you deserved.
That's right. You really did.
You got what you deserved. Let's be very clear. Being who he is, this man is no Republican. He became a Republican just because he thought he could win. It was a niche. You think about it. These Byron Donalds folks and Candace Owens and Mia Love, who used to be who was a 1-term Houser, and because she didn't support Trump in 2020, lost her seat. These people are not serious Republicans. These people are opportunists, where they can be a big fish in a little pond, because the pond of people of color welcomed into the Republican Party is so small.
Yeah.
That they see this as it being their way to access money. You know what's going to happen after this? This man is going to leave Congress, but I promise you, he says he's not going to run again, but he's going to leave Congress. I promise you, there will be a 7-figure book deal for him. There will be an 8-figure movie deal for him. He will reap the benefits of being a lousy crook
off of our tax dollars.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, will you go see the movie or read the book?
No, but instead I'm going to watch Rustin, about Bayard Rustin on Netflix, produced by Barack and Michelle Obama's production company. So if you get a chance, he was the one who initiated the March on Washington. So spend your money watching this movie about an out black gay man who made a difference than spending your money on that clown.
Okay. All right. Let's move forward to the next one. Military updates and Senate committee vote to bypass Tubbeville on promotions.
Well, here's where I have a serious issue. There is a lot of information that is not being discussed about our military in the Middle East right now, and also in Ukraine. So it's not just there, but we have lost soldiers that is not being discussed, that is not being reported. You have to go to the outside of the news people who are really there, the smaller independent journalists who are truly doing the right job by reporting unbiased news. I think that we do a huge disservice to our military when we lose soldiers and you don't report it. They are coming home in caskets. They have served our country, and you can't give them 2 minutes of your time to give them an honor. I think that it is disgusting that we are not being told. I know we can't know everything. Guys, we really can't. I mean, you can't announce everything that you're doing. I get it. I'm not stupid. But you do need to acknowledge that we do have a hand in these wars. And we need to know this. You don't have to report on it every day. You don't have to give us every detail. But the fact that you're hiding it from the American public or just not reporting on it is a disservice, and it's actually disgusting. And I am so sorry for these families who have lost their members and they didn't get any attention or any mention. So for me, I say thank you for your family's service. We see you. And we honor you, and we thank you for your service. And that's just, I'll never stop saying that. I've never been in the military. My sister has been in the military. I'm not military type, but I know one thing: I support everything that they do because they're doing something that I can't do.
Yeah. All right. And just before you start, Aisha, Regina says, agree 100%, Lala. Go ahead.
Yeah. And what was it? There were earlier this week, there were 6 or 7 who died in a plane crash. Now, let's put the real spin on this, okay? The fact that we're treating our military as being dispensable and trying to keep away from the fact that we are, put it this way, there are a couple of wars going on overseas, and while we might not be active combat the way that we were in Afghanistan because we were leading the thing, doesn't mean that we don't have boots on the ground somewhere providing information, providing protection, providing security, providing humanitarian assistance. Okay, we've got people who are actually out there doing that. And when we lose them, we need to acknowledge it. Now, you go back 22 years ago, if the same thing were to happen after things did after 9/11, we constantly got the information. And the fact that people want to look at this as this is not these aren't American conflicts. There are conflicts as long as people are asking for our money and they're asking for our people.
Yes.
And so these things are important to us. And the fact that we have a very vulnerable military at this point because of one senator who's mad about what women do with their bodies. Okay? Stay out of women's uteruses and we will all be okay, Tommy. But the fact that the committee in the Senate had to vote to bypass him tells you that he is the Joe Manchin of the Republican Party right now. Yeah. One person having control over how things get done in this country. And remember, Democrats did not go over Manchin's head to fix the filibuster. And that is why we are where we are with Tubbeville. Yes. We were saying this on this show. Other people were saying this. It's like, if you do not do this now, Republicans will do it when they get control. Well, guess what? Exactly we got a Republican doing it now in the Senate, and they don't have control of the Senate. And so the fact that the committee that is chaired by what's her name? The woman out of Minnesota. She was running for president at one point. I forget her name. But she is chairing the committee, and the committee voted in a bipartisan manner to do one vote on all of the promotions to bypass Tubbeville. It tells you a lot. It means a lot. It says that even the people on his own side recognize the fact that at this point, this is just somebody trying to score points. This isn't a football game, Tommy. This ain't a football game. And it's and if you want to treat it like it is a football game, guess what? You had 6 years of losing as a coach. Get used to losing again.
I'm just happy that they decided to do it, because at this dysfunctionality that we're working under, I'm surprised that anything like that even got done. We need more of that. We need more bipartisanship. When did bipartisanship become such a dirty word? But I'm very happy that they decided they were going to do something about it. Our military needs it.
Yes. And if nothing else is reason for getting rid of the filibuster in the Senate, this is.
Exactly.
We are in such a vulnerable state. And guess what? They voted to bypass Tubbeville. They in the committee. That means the full Senate still has to vote on it. Right? So it's step one down this long path. But the fact that if we can't even bypass and get rid of the filibuster to provide for our military and our military families, that doesn't say a whole lot about us as a country.
No, but then you want people to sign up and serve? What? Are you kidding me? Sure, let me go ahead and serve a country that just doesn't care about us and is not going to fund us at all.
Yeah. No, and these young people aren't being selfish when they say that they're not going to join. It's because they're seeing exactly what you're doing.
Yep. You got a smarter crew watching everything that you're doing.
Especially when it comes to younger people.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Next up, more developments from 45 trials. Oh, there's so many things going on, ladies. You go whatever direction you want on this one.
Okay.
Ooh, I need gourmet popcorn falling.
I know.
Going on.
Okay, well, let's start with the Colorado thing. You know, they were trying to get him off the ballot, prevent him from getting on the ballot. The judge made a very odd decision.
Yes.
In his favor, yes. So he can't be on the ballot. But on one hand, she said, yes, he is responsible for an insurrection. On the other hand, she said, well, technically, when he took the oath, he didn't say that he would support the Constitution. But wait a second. That what you're saying is that anyone in government has to abide by that. The law clearly says that you can't run for the House, the Senate, or even like local elected office if you do that, but it doesn't specify the president. So why is the president outside of that?
Thank you.
Why is the president, and even more so, the president should be even more come under more scrutiny because that person is in control of the military. That person can then use the military to incite an insurrection. So I think that on one hand, she was trying to be quote unquote diplomatic, but on the other hand, it's going to appeals. They said that they're going to appeal. And I have a feeling that this is going to go over to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court's going to have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Because if you say that this is the job to uphold, well, guess what? I don't think that anyone who has to take the same oath, which the Supreme Court justices do, should be able to decide this.
No, that's right.
Because basically they're saying that they'd have to decide too that they could lose their jobs. And guess what? You can incite money. I mean, honestly, but think about it. What are they going to vote in his favor? They might kick it down. They might not. But remember, Jenny Thomas was instrumental in helping with the coup, raising money for the coup. Yes. So how is it that they're going to vote on this when Clarence Thomas is not going to recuse himself?
No.
So before you start, LaLa, any more on this, Regina says 100%. Aisha, that ruling is going to get appealed and overturned.
I think it's definitely getting appealed. Whether or not it'll be overturned, like I said, has to do with what the Supreme Court says.
Yeah.
And if they're going to do it, here's the thing: Clarence Thomas would have to recuse himself. He's not going to, and he's going to vote and say that we know what his vote's going to be. So there's that issue going on with Trump. Bonnie is smart. She's doing her case in August. People are like, oh, well, why so late? And why is she waiting to do it right before the national convention? She don't care about this. She's not a federal officer. She don't care about your politics. What she cares about is the fact that you did wrong in Georgia. Okay. Mm-hmm. She is a straight up Atlanta girl.
That's right.
Look, forget your feelings. She don't care about your feelings, about your convention, about your campaign. If you're going to jail, dude, you're going to jail. Period.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So remember last week I said there is a month. It starts with A that people aren't talking about. I meant April, but this month she's talking about August.
It's still an A.
It's still an A, right?
What other things? Did I hear something in the New York case that the judge has removed his gag order?
Yes, correct? They temporarily removed the gag order. Well, the judge didn't. The appeals court lifted the gag order while Trump is filing an appeal on the gag order. Okay.
And he came out swinging.
He sure did. But here's the thing: he came out swinging, and he's doing everything that he can and saying everything that he can. Meanwhile, Jack Smith is in his office taking notes.
Honey, he's over there singing it.
Jack Smith got his cell phone out and he's collecting screenshots.
Walking around with his little basket, putting it. Oh, you want to give me this one? I'll take it.
Yep. Let me screenshot that and add that as an attachment to enhance my gag order as an example of why we can't lift it here. And not only that, this fool went and his attorneys tried to get the case dismissed in New York, and the judge was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. Like, no, exactly. I don't think so. And so what did Trump and his lackeys do? Well, Stinky Stefanik from the House goes and files a complaint against the judge. And then she goes and files some other things that apparently this woman, who's not really an attorney and doesn't have this background to write these things, basically Trump's people didn't want to do it, and they didn't want to look like they had their fingers in the pot, so they gave it to her to file.
So Regina says, but he is only one vote.
He's only one vote. He's only one vote, but so is Alito. Yeah. And so is the other, what's the other guy? Gorsuch. And remember that Republicans have the majority in the Supreme Court.
That's the Supreme Court.
That is why we don't have Roe anymore. So yeah, he's one vote, but he's one vote of a majority. And then you've got and remember, Gorsuch and Alito also had their own ethics issues with money.
Yes, they did.
And taking money and gifts despite what their oath says. So so his one vote, it's going to have the support of others. Now, back to this Trump stuff. I think it's funny that what was it? His attorneys are in New York talking about, oh, they want this, they want that. But there was something else that was going on in New York. I can't remember what it is, but the DA. Yeah, the DA in the Southern District of New York, he's sitting there waiting because guess what? The Stormy Daniels case can go on, whether it'll happen whenever. He's like, whether he's there or not. And again, that's another that's a fraud case. But then there is Florida. Cannon's doing just what we thought she was going to do.
Of course,
she's denying things. They reported today that Jack Smith's case in Florida behind the stolen documents, because of this woman, is 4 months behind.
Yes. But that's her goal. I mean, she is a Trumpster. We all know that.
She's trying to get that. Look, who's next to leave? It's either going to be Alito or Clarence Thomas. She's trying to shore up her own nomination to the Supreme Court if Trump gets back in.
Wow. That'll be interesting.
But here's the thing. She already got her hand smacked once by a Trump-appointed 3-judge panel last year when they said that her ruling was just horrible. They can do it again. And I have a feeling that they'll enjoy it this time.
I really do. I think it's I think that we are starting to see some people who are fed up and are doing the right thing in their job. Because when you take these positions, you're supposed to honor your oath. Now, I know I'm just a little old realtor. I'm nobody in the government, but I take an oath for what I do. And I take it very seriously. When I say it and I raise my hand, I truly mean it. And I don't take it lightly. Whereas we are seeing today, people just say it to say it and they don't mean a thing. I mean, this is word of mouth is not what it used to be. Not at all.
Yeah, it's something called a code of ethics.
Yeah, code of ethics.
Yeah, and put it this way: if the Supreme Court can issue their own code of ethics that's like virtually weak, okay, there's no enforcement behind it or anything, why should we think that they're going to vote on something with somebody else's code of ethics for the same oath that they take? So I don't see that. But here's the thing: you know what? Let him on the ballot. Let him on the ballot in all the places, because Nevada is all. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. The AG of Nevada is investigating the fake elector scheme in Nevada. So this is something else that might come up, and if he's attached to that, this will be case number 5. So, and if you count the one in Colorado, that it's case number 6. But here's the thing: you know what? We're around the corner. 2023 is almost over with. We're about to launch into 2024, and election season is going to go full swing come January because the first primaries will take place. You know what? Let him on the ballot. Let the people tell him again that they don't want him. And he's already sowing these seeds of doubt right now. So here's the thing. So already he's saying that it's going to be rigged. Well, if it's going to be rigged, then that means that every Republican who wins also did not win their election, because you can't have it both ways. You can't say that you're on the same ballot as all these Republicans and you lost, but they didn't. You can't have it both ways. It can't be rigged against you, but in their favor.
That's right. But he'll spin it that way. That's the way he's always.
Oh, he will. Here's the thing: if it's rigged in favor of Joe Biden, then that means that down ballot races are also going to be rigged for Joe Biden. Because let me tell you, what people are doing these quote unquote fake ballots where they're voting for Joe Biden and then voting for Democrats straight down. Who's doing that? Who does that? No one. That tells you how ridiculous his whole argument is. But you know what? He got himself into trouble this week. Because
he's always getting himself in trouble.
What's the guy's name? Is it Neil Carlin? What's the guy's name? The guy from ABC who wrote the book about Trump has him on tape. The tape.
Is it Jonathan Karl?
Yeah, Jonathan Karl. Okay. Has him on tape. Admitting to the fact that he wanted to go down to the Capitol building. He acknowledged that these were his people, and he said he could have controlled them. Okay, so mind you, what did Trump say 7-8 months ago? Oh, those weren't my people. Those were FBI agents dressed up as MAGA people. You can't, on one hand, have these same MAGA people in the House in all these committee hearings talking about, it was undercover, because they just did that this week. These were undercover FBI agents pretending to be MAGA people. It wasn't MAGA people. Not according to your leader.
That's right.
Your leader was like, no,
That's
those were
right.
his people. Those were his people. And
No, it did. Let
he
me
could
go
have
to
stopped
my
them.
people.
Look, and I could have controlled them. Dude, you had 180 minutes, okay, to stop them.
Well,
You didn't have
Regina
to go,
said,
huh?
go ahead. Regina
You didn't
says,
have, look, you
why
didn't
was
have to
that
go
tape
down
held?
there.
Why Regina's saying, why was that tape withheld for so long?
Because they always do that. They wait till it serves a purpose for them. Period.
Right. Well, here's the other part of it too. If he did the interview as part of his book, he really didn't have the quote unquote obligation to report it because he wasn't doing it as part of his job as a news reporter. But why was the tape being withheld for so long? Would it have made a difference if it came out earlier? Because remember, he just did this interview last year? He did this interview in the last couple of months. This isn't an interview that he did back in 2021. He did this interview pretty recently. So it's not like it's been held for years. This is a recent admission. And you're right. And like Regina said, and he confirmed what Cassidy said about the Secret Service holding him back from participating. He said it himself that the Secret Service did not want him to go. So what Cassidy Hutchinson said about him putting his hand on that dude's neck, it's true. He admitted he didn't want to go. But then here's the thing. His people are so jacked up is that they realized that there's audio and he said this and it's bad. So what does his campaign people do? Oh, the book is trash. That reporter's trash. He spun this wrong and he's a loser. And no, the loser is the guy that has diarrhea of the mouth and is always telling what he does.
And can't wait. Like he can't even get that done before he's talking about it. Like he is just I don't understand how he even thinks. Like he is so pressed to be in front of these cameras. I'm telling y'all, his kryptonite is these cameras. If we took the cameras away, he would shrink down like Lord Voldemort.
Oh, and to Regina's point, I'm not sure the tapes were withheld from the right person. He might have not shared them with us until the book came out. But I don't doubt that he didn't give it to Jack as soon, or that if Jack, just like if Jack knew this book was coming, just like he did with Mark Meadows, and subpoenaed the tapes. And if he hasn't subpoenaed them yet, he's going to subpoena them again, because this is some deep stuff. And this isn't the first time he did this. It's like, dude, these people are writing books about how awful you are. This guy did it. Bob Woodward. He did all these interviews with Bob Woodward. The same thing. Mm-hmm. And he says the same thing. He does this interview with Kristen Welker. He does this interview with this person. He does this interview with this person. And he keeps telling more and more and more stuff. He did his interview with Univision, and we should probably talk about that at some point. If not this week, but eventually, how Univision, they wanted an interview with him so bad that it was a softball interview, 1. 2, they did not, and he's not even the nominee. He's running in a primary. They did not allow Joe Biden, who's the actual president, a comparable interview. And then you know how political ads, people buy space during different shows? They would not allow Joe Biden to buy space to advertise in the middle of that interview. So you know what? And all he did was talk about his crimes. So here's the thing: the more that man is angry and in angst, I mean, like a baby that needs a diaper change, he is going to keep complaining and complaining and complaining until someone listens to him. And I was telling my daughter this earlier this week. I said, you know what? He's really lucky he has Secret Service right now, because for all the stuff he's doing, I don't believe that there should be any kind of violence toward anybody like that, especially not someone who, used to be president. However, the only reason no one's kicked his yet is because he has civil service. And me personally, I literally want that kicking to come. But here's the person I want to do it. Okay. And I don't want him to get beat. He's an elderly man. I don't want him to get beaten up. I want Barron, who turns 18 in March, that every time his dad walks down the hall past him, literally kicks him in the butt.
I think we'll move on to our next conversation topic after that. Oh my gosh. And Regina goes, 45's comments on Paul Pelosi were vile. Well, thank you for this transition.
Mm-hmm.
You set up for our next transition, our next conversation topic. Paul Pelosi, attacker, guilty.
Yeah, and his whole defense was that he used to be left-leaning, and then he heard a Trump speech, and all of a sudden he woke up. Boy, please.
I know.
And he went through the. You know what? I'm glad they just let him talk, because guess what? The best thing you can do with these people is like the Trump, just let him talk, because the more they talk, the more they tell them themselves, the more they embarrass themselves, the more that they let you know who they are. And this decision was right. It was just. It was fair.
Yes, I agree. And it definitely shows that you really cannot get away with things like this. This man was innocent. Like, he had nothing to do with what his wife is doing, okay, or the government. And for someone to come in and attack someone's spouse, or by the way, also, Biden's granddaughter had a scare just here recently. When you're starting to go after the families, you are on a whole different level of twisted. And his punishment, I think, fits the crime, and I think that they did the right thing.
Mm-hmm. And what Trump said about him was evil. It's like, dude, you're not much younger. And he was trying to imply, like some of his people implied when it happened last year, that there was a quote unquote homosexual affair going on. He was trying to imply that. Dude, just because you say, oh, what about him? Oh yeah, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go. That doesn't give you cover. It doesn't give you the cover that you think it does. It's like your whole speech was vile. Your whole speech was trash. And I don't think that the media was hard enough on him this week.
They weren't.
From that, they weren't nearly as hard as they should have been, and the fake outrage. No, you need to call this man what he is. He is a dumpster fire. He is trash. He is trash with money. And like Letitia James, he has a whole lot of money that he doesn't have a whole lot of money. He lied about what he has. So
exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. He's never told the truth a day in his life.
All right, let's move on to our next conversation topic. Mike Johnson, U.S. House Speaker, to release 44,000 hours worth of January 6th video after coming under fire for homophobic comments and saving the country from a government shutdown.
Well, and it should be saving the country from a government shutdown with Democratic votes. Because remember, more Democrats voted to avert the shutdown than Republicans, okay?
That's right.
And so he's coming under fire for quote unquote working with Democrats. But this 44,000 hours worth of video. Remember Kevin McCarthy tried to do this before with remember Kevin McCarthy tried to do this before with Tucker Carlson, when Tucker Carlson had a job and wasn't doing videos out of his basement.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Mike is doing this as a reprieve. This is the kind of thing that the Matt Gaetz want, that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and all those people who complain about stuff. This is the thing that they want from him. This is what they want. It's like that shiny object. It's like, ooh, don't look at me. Don't look at what I did. Don't look at the fact that, I keep saying, because even it's ironic to me how he just decides to make these things public and release them as if the House doesn't have other business it needs to do.
Right.
After they started reporting about how this week he said that America is getting exactly what it deserves because of LGBTQ people.
Yes. Yes.
So now he wants people to
And
stop
this
talking
wraps
about it.
right back around to what we talked and opened the show with. It's all hate. Everything is hate. If you are not white, straight, Christian male, you mean nothing to anyone. They don't care about you. And nothing that they put out shows that they do.
And I just want to say this, because I said this to my daughter yesterday. I said, it's funny, you have people like MAGA Mike, and then you have other people, other homophobic people talking about the gay agenda. Y'all been talking about this quote unquote gay agenda for like 80 years now. Okay.
Yeah.
If there was such an agenda that existed, don't you think the majority of people in this country would be some form of LGBTQ?
Yes.
If there was look, because here's the thing, we have a whole 2.5 generations of people who don't know how civics works.
Mm-hmm.
That was indoctrination. Let's take civics out the school and feed people with history full of lies. That's indoctrination. Okay, that's an education agenda. What you're talking about is just social media. People feeling more comfortable and free being themselves and living in, walking in their truth. Come on.
They need to get out of people's beds and get out of our wombs. That's all they're concerned about. They wonder what somebody else is doing when they have these skeletons that they don't forget. Meg Mike got a whole bunch of skeletons that they gonna fall out real soon, and he's doing his best to hold them in the closet. That's exactly what he's doing.
I have a question for both of you when it comes to Mike Johnson. Mm-hmm. How long do you think he's going to last in that position?
I think they set a precedent to kick out whoever they want to when it's under their rules. So when he does something that's really going to turn them off, like McCarthy did, it's going to be the same show that they went through with him. They've set their own precedent. This is not going to be the first time that we're going to see this.
I think that he probably won't make it through next summer, or he's going to face a lot of pressure, because here's the thing. Next year, like we said, is an election year. One of the things that the Speaker of the House does as leader of their party is raise money for their candidates and their party.
Yes.
He does not have the fundraising chops that Kevin McCarthy did.
Right.
Okay. So if he's not raising money for people who are going to be in highly contested races, so you're talking about there's going to be that George Santos seat that's going to come open. Lauren Boebert only won by 500 votes. She is like on a tightrope that's on fire right now. Okay. Right.
Uh-huh.
And then you have a whole bunch of those seats in New York City that people took back from Democrats. But now the people, after the whole George Santos thing, are having buyer's remorse. So if he can't prevent, through fundraising and getting endorsements and all that, prevent the Democrats for taking over the House, and guess what? Democrats don't have to. We don't need a blue wave, because all we need is the same 4-vote majority like what we had under Nancy Pelosi, and Democrats get things done. Okay. All they need is that. So if he's not raising money after the primaries, because the primaries will be the tell, okay? How many of their people, especially MAGA people, lose primaries? And then when you look at the polling after the primaries of the two nominees, and if their ratings are bad, that is going to be the deciding factor for Republicans as to whether or not he stays or he goes. Because at this point, they're so embarrassed about the fighting and stuff, and they're embarrassed about what happened with Kevin McCarthy and Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise, and keeping us without a speaker for a month. They're not really ready or willing to face that kind of embarrassment again without just cause. And their just cause would be that Mike Johnson can't raise the money to get Republicans reelected and maintain control of the House, and that will suffice.
All right, let's move on to our next conversation. Before we do that, Fitness IQ says, yes, come out of people's bedrooms.
And here's the other side of it too. They do need to step out of people's bedrooms because a lot of their beds aren't made either. Think about how oftentimes we see videos, and we talked about this last week, how often we see videos of these people talking about, oh, you know, gays are an abomination to this and this and this and this. And then the next week, there they are in a motel restroom, a truck stop restroom, soliciting. Right. It's like, come on. So just stop, or affairs. Like we talked last week about the guy talking about how affairs were just this and that. And if you have if you fornicate, you're this and that, and he has a mistress.
Yes, exactly. What you talk about and fight the hardest is your guilt, and this is proven time and time again.
Yeah, we both watched we both watched Midas Touch and Brian Tyler Cohen on YouTube, who are they're very excellent at reporting on these issues. And what they both say is that every projection is an admission.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what it is with these people.
Fitness IQ can say shoops. So there you go. All right. Next conversation piece. Haven't heard from her in a while, but you've mentioned her one or two times tonight. Marjorie Taylor Greene makes a complete fool of herself on House floor twice in 1 week.
Twice. She got schooled by Chris Wray and Rosa DeLauro. And the thing of it is that this woman wants to be the vice presidential candidate for Donald Trump, who right now is considering Tucker Carlson as a running mate. Yeah, it's like, girl, at this point, I've watched several hearings because, here's the other thing too. We have to get out of just watching our corporate media. Turn to C-SPAN once in a while, because C-SPAN will run. They do run these committee hearings.
Yes.
And listen to her talk in these committee hearings. One, she likes to hear herself talk. So she's always standing up to give a speech about nothing. Two, she likes embarrassing herself. Because here's, girl, why are you looking at some crazy QAnon video as fact? And then you go to the House floor as if people on the other side of the aisle don't actually read real stuff and report all these falsehoods and conspiracy theories as if they're fact. And when you get called on it, what do? You do the Donald Trump thing and you try to insult people. You insult them because of how they look. You insult their age. You insult this, you insult that. And
because she stays angry 24/7. I swear her blood pressure must be about ready to explode her head right off her shoulders.
It's like, does happiness even know your name?
She can't breathe. She's so mad.
Yeah, and the fact that not one person has been angry enough to talk about the fact that she's got 3 toes on her feet and wears open-toed shoes. The fact that no one, when she's talking and they rebut the fact that Jasmine Crockett, who held up the picture of the documents in the bathroom, the fact that when she's challenging Marjorie Taylor Greene, hasn't held up a picture of Marjorie in them open-toed sandals and been like, this is the woman that is making.
She would be the one.
Right.
She would be the one. I love her, y'all. I'm telling you, I love her. I love her very much. Jasmine Crockett, she is on it. She's bright. She's young. She's smart. And she's not scared to snap back. We need more of her.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, like I said before, is a Neanderthal. And it shows that she's not she's a lower form of a human being and undeveloped and unevolved like the rest of us, because she gives into her primal instinct. And what's the primal instinct of any animal is to fight.
Well, I won't read this comment, but I'll let one of you to read this.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is too much of a bimbo to realize she's a bimbo. That's I would agree more so with Lauren Boebert, because she
I was saying bobblehead.
But Marjorie Taylor Greene is, here's the thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene got famous doing CrossFit videos.
Yeah.
These are the people who are in Congress, okay? Both chambers. We got somebody who used to be in the WWE, a former football coach, and a CrossFit trainer. making decisions for the rest of us.
I can't top that. That's the truth.
Enough said. Let's move to our, well, it's a combination of topics, but celebrity lawsuits. Diddy accused of rape and domestic abuse by former girlfriend in civil case filed in New York on Thursday, settles on Friday, and Will and Jada to sue blogger Tasha K.
Well, let's take Will and Jada first because they're a lot easier. Well, the thing is that Tasha K had this episode of her show where she accused Will Smith of having a relationship with Dwayne Martin, who's also an actor, if you don't know, and used to be the husband of Tisha Campbell.
Yes.
She's playing to the fears of people's homophobia to generate likes and hits. But I need to remind Tasha K that you still owe money to Cardi B.
Thank you.
Because remember, she sued you to the point that you don't even have the money to pay her back. Why are you entering into another situationship where Will and Jada are going to see you? And let me be very clear, Cardi B doesn't have Will and Jada money.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I don't. Okay, I'm not a fan of Wendy Williams. This Tasha K chick, I don't listen to any of that because I am not into bashing. That's all that they do. They want to get famous off of other people's backs, mentioning other names, trying to get the news. But this is pure slander. And another thing that I don't like about how this is being reported is everybody is focusing on Will and Jada. What about Dwayne?
Right. Now, Dwayne, Tisha Campbell tell you he's a jerk from here to wherever, but she's never disparaged his character that way. She just like, he was a jerk to me. Okay.
Right.
but she's never disparaged his character. And their divorce was not a polite one at all.
No, it was not. But but once again, media likes to play the role of sides. This man is just as affected by this as Will is. Yeah. And it's disgusting. Once again, y'all got to crawl in people's beds, which is none of your business in the first place. And even if it did happen, it's not your place to bring it out to the public. That's none of your business. You keep to yourself because you surely still got money to pay. Find something else because Cardi B wants some money. Okay.
And you brought up Wendy Williams, and I should remind Tasha K that Wendy Williams got fired from Hot 97 in the 90s because she made similar assertions about the first person we're going to talk about, Diddy, that to the point where he goes to the radio, the station heads, and gets her fired. Okay.
Yes, he does.
Okay. So there's a history there of that kind of stuff. I think that I don't understand why we're in such a state where it's like we're in a gossip culture.
Yeah.
We're in a gossip culture. We spend more time worrying about who's sleeping with whom, who's doing what with whom, than we are about the talent of these people. And one of the reasons that we do these things to distract from the talent is because we're in a state right now where there aren't a whole lot of talented people who are entertaining us right now. Yes. So we could take some of our favorites who are icons and legends, and even though people were trying to find out their personal stuff, the conversation still focused on their talent and what they brought to the table. When all the information about you is about who you're sleeping with or what party you went to and this and that, and one sentence in a 500-word article about the name of your album, that's it.
Yeah.
That to me tells me more about your talent than it does anything else. And what people think of talent.
So Fitness IQ, because Diddy's case was settled so quick. I wonder how much she got. I heard, from what I'm hearing, was I heard some like $19 million, but I don't know if it's anything like that. Also, she says, is Tasha K the one that interviewed that snitch of a friend?
I think so. Yeah.
And then also she says, if that's the one, I'm suing the friend. She also says, gossiping culture indeed, escaping their realities.
Yeah.
LOL. That's why I don't want to be a celebrity.
No,
Well,
it's
since
not
you
what
brought
you
up-
think it is.
since
And
you
then
brought
she
it
says,
up,
Boxside 19 milli.
well, you know what? Here's the thing. As a survivor myself, I will never say how anyone should or should not handle how they cope or how they seek justice for themselves. I didn't get justice. I don't know how I would feel about I know how I felt about not getting it and being asked for a statement so other people could. I remember that very clearly about how I felt about it. My initial reaction versus how after I thought about it, and then went in and did the thing. But my first reaction was like, "Screw you," and then it was like, "No, I'm going to help these people." Because none of us are there. I'll say this. Diddy's been ingrained in our culture for a long time. And if you live on this side, it's been even longer than that. We don't know what happened and what didn't happen. But I'll tell you this. I do know this. I do know that I do not like that man. I've never liked that man. He is a thief. Ask Faith Evans, ask 112, ask Total, ask Shine, who did a bid for him, and ask all the other women that broke up with him because of the rampant cheating. So anything here is possible. He's just not a good person. But my issue is not about her lawsuit or anything. She does not deserve the harassment that people are giving. She doesn't deserve any of that.
I agree.
My biggest issue is the fact with these male celebrities. Dude, whether it's true or not, why you should have learned your lesson coming after a girl just out of high school when you're on your way to turning 40.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing, I have no doubt that he's controlling. I've seen Making the Band, and I've heard horror stories about him and his controlling nature. Remember the whole thing about the cheesecake. He made these people walk the streets of New York looking for one specific piece of cheesecake that he took one bite out of and threw away in front of them. Okay.
Yes.
So he's got serious qualities. But how she got her justice is her personal decision. It's what she wanted to put her family through or not put her family through. And understand, she had only 1 week left given the statute for the civil case.
That's right. That's right. You
So-
got to remember the timing.
And she probably ran a real big risk of it being thrown out because of that. That's the first thing. The second thing is that while reaching a settlement is not indicative of guilt, because
That's
on
right.
his end, remember, he's got kids too. He's got young girls, and he might not necessarily want them to have to deal with this. His kids they still go to school and have parents who listen to his music and whatever and feel whatever kind of way. But the fact that this man did a couple of songs with R. Kelly, knowing what R. Kelly did to Aaliyah, tells me all I need to know about his character.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
And I don't think that he has the greatest character. He's loud, he's boisterous, he's obnoxious. And whatever happened between them and how she goes about getting justice for that is on her. I just know she's from Connecticut. That's pretty much it. And I also know too that he didn't, for her to be signed in for 10 years, he didn't do a whole lot for her career.
No,
She's no Beyonce, right? And like, look, the only person who ever really got a bump off dealing with Diddy in their career was J-Lo. And she looked, and when it appeared that he was going to hurt her career after that, they were both arrested at that club. She politely stepped away and moved on to Ben Affleck.
And I can't say nothing else about him at all.
Right, and you can't blame her. And he has gone back and after her. And so let's be very, very clear about this. We're not talking about a good person here. Okay. We're not talking about a good person here. Not to say that bad people deserve these kinds of things, but to sit and question it. I question his character more than because here's the thing. I have more questions about him and his character than I do about what I read in that suit. I'm still trying to figure out.
I read it.
Me too. And I'm still trying to figure out, dude, how come you and Biggie went to the Soul Train Music Awards together in the same car, but leaving and going to the after party, you were in a different car? I need that answered before I can even start to believe you on anything else. I have too many questions for you, my dude. Too many. Well, and when I tell your character like that,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead. I'm frustrated with him
so much, so fast, and his statement afterwards just still doesn't sit right with me. The statement was, we were something on the line of, we just felt like we wanted to just go ahead and settle, and I wish her nothing but the best and all love. That's creepy. That was creepy to me. After reading all of what I read, and that's what your statement was, that says a whole lot to me that's not being said. And
even his speech at the BET Lifetime, when he got his Lifetime Achievement Award, forget thanking some of these other folks, hell, forget thanking Sting for the fact that you stole his damn song.
Stole his music. Which, by the way, y'all, quick note,
he gets no money from it. Ever. Ever. Sting gets 100% of the royalties, 100, because he had to settle that out of court. Okay, remember, he had to settle that out of court too. So here's the thing, and he did that speech, and he makes a point of thanking her during the rough times and this and that. That feels like grooming, kind of like, I still have my eye on you, girl. I still have
right.
Because this happened last year, which means that they weren't together for almost 5 years.
That's right.
And he's calling her out for holding him down, and that you love her. What about thanking your the mother of your babies who's up in heaven?
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I don't.
To his
character. It's his character. This man is. This guy has questionable character.
Yeah.
And his mom wears a questionable wig. I'm sorry.
I hope
she shows up every day looking like Tweety Bird.
I just hope that she can move on in peace, but we know how the public is, and I'm with Aisha. Leave her alone. You know what? Going through something like that is, first of all, not even easy for you to come out and tell people. And these things were so horrendous. Nobody wants to put themselves through that. She doesn't seem like that type of person at all. She kind of steps back in the spotlight. But there were many of her friends from Danity Kane and all of them who did come out and speak and say, it's about time.
Yeah, and the other thing that didn't help him, was the thing that's in there about him threatening to blow up Kid Cudi's car.
And it happened.
And Kid Cudi coming out and affirming, yeah, my car was blown up. Yeah. And so just because she was dating him when they weren't together. So that kind of thing. And when I thought about that, I'm like, well, yeah, I can see why he would do that with her after they were broken up, because they were broken up and he's thanking her in this speech. It's the same thing. Like, you'll never get that far away from me. My best advice to her is, Cassie, one, give up any entertainment job. First of all, she doesn't have the talent for it anyway. But two, take your money and go live a peaceful and happy life outside the public eye, so you can do your healing and avoid people, avoid social media, avoid reading all these things. She's married and has a kid now anyway. And, stick with that and stick with the people who love and care for you and going to protect you and nurture you out through your healing. You don't need all this nonsense and garbage out here, because this is the kind of stuff that people do, and people who are reckless with their stuff will do. And they don't think about the impact it has on other people. And when I think about this, I think about all those women who were like, oh yeah, R. Kelly's no, he's innocent. And then they met him.
Yes.
There are several of those women, if you ever watched that documentary, who are like, they did not believe any of the accusations, and then they they met him and got into a relationship with him and found out he was exactly like what
was said.
He was what was said about him. And so again, I don't think, people will be like, oh, well, she just wanted the money, or if I was sexually assaulted, I would rather somebody go to jail. Let's be very clear. The statute of limitations.
You don't get to say what somebody else.
It doesn't matter. The statute of limitations ran out. That's why she was able to file the civil suit, because New York had that statute that 1 year after either the statute of limitations runs out, or after you make the proclamation or something, you have to file a civil case. That's why she went that route. However, he's not necessarily off the hook, because
it's a criminal charge,
right? Because trafficking is a federal crime that does not have a statute like that. And so if they find credible enough evidence, they can, because remember, she was smart. She didn't file in New York State court. She filed in New York federal court. So if they're going to go after him for the trafficking part, they can still go after him. So he's not necessarily out of the woods yet.
Right. That's right.
We will end it on that.
Both of them are sad stories to me. Yeah. And it's heartbreaking, really. And it's so sad that these type of things get so much attention in the press, when everything else that we have talked about tonight doesn't get as much. Because as soon as this came out, if you've noticed, you didn't see nothing else but that on the news.
And that's why we're here, because we make sense of the nonsense in the news.
So Cinema Canela, good to see you. They already settled. Flash news. Yep. Regina says, hasn't he named himself Love?
He can't decide. I need him. I said this in my Prince Twitter thread earlier this year. Did he pick a name and stick to it? Pick a name. Stick to it.
Fitness IQ goes LMAO Tweety Bird. Love the Tweety Bird line. So that is it for the conversation this evening. As always, ladies, we want to thank you for taking the time out of your positive, productive schedule to share with us. But before you exit, we want to know how people can reach out to you. So
before that, we have another announcement.
Go ahead.
You got to tell about the Roku channel.
Oh, okay.
And the newsletter.
Well, you handle the newsletter and I'll handle Roku. So you go first.
So we are going to start a weekly newsletter for Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa, where we will recap what we talked about on this show, tell you what to look out for the next week, and give you some real credible articles to read, so you have the information that you need, and also some links to some of our favorite videos that we've watched going on. So if you want to subscribe, just send Dr. Vibe an email. I think what we'll make sure we'll do is take all the people who are already subscribed to the Discord and automatically add you to the list. But if you're not, make sure you email Dr. Vibe, tell him you want to subscribe to the newsletter, and tell him you want to join the Discord.
Yeah. So the people who are already in Discord, make sure you're following me, and then you can send me your email address directly instead of just, and some people may just have a little wary of putting up your email publicly. So Aisha, what I'm going to ask you the favor to do, can you post like your announcement in the Discord and say,
I'll definitely do that.
email Dr. Vibe and put my email address there?
Definitely will.
Yeah, and that'll be the best way to do that.
And if you're in the Discord channel, I can also post the newsletter to the Discord channel so you can see it there, or you can get it in your email.
Bingo. And then Fitness IQ goes, yes, please. Okay, it will be done. In regards to the Roku channel, for those may or may not know Dr. Tachi, who's on periodically, she's just getting over some final humps. But when it happens, it should be definitely before the end of the year, we'll have edited versions of this conversation on Indie Soup Media, which is the network that she has created with over about 30 plus content creators right now and growing. So you'll be able to see edited versions of this conversation, and it will be on Facebook, YouTube, and we will be now on a Roku channel. So and once a week, edited versions of this conversation will be on, and it will just grow, and that will expose us. The potential reach of all the combined content creators is 1 million people.
Yep.
So we growing. So join it now. Make it happen.
Yep.
So what are you watching for next week, if anything, ladies? If anything.
Lala?
I'm watching what's going on in AI, y'all. I done got all into the AI game. So the big news last night was that Sam got fired from ChatGPT, y'all. Open AI, y'all. This is not a small thing. Sam Altman got let go. And then the other gentleman, the president, stepped down because Sam was let go. So there was a big shakeup. Now, here's what's interesting. Sam had put a hold on memberships for ChatGPT 4.0.
Yes.
Because he said we're growing too fast.
Yes.
We cannot serve you as fast. And we want this to be quality. So he put a hold on memberships. The minute they fired him, y'all, membership was open.
Wow.
He was really trying to prevent people, I suspect, from stealing other content, because remember, one of the things that they're doing is they're training the technology on the content of other people. So somebody could take an article that I've written and train the chat GPT AI technology to write articles in my voice. So someone who is not me going to be like, oh yeah, can you write this in the style of this person? And come up with something that they will slap their name on.
Exactly. And which is tied into that I'm now also following, is AI now has a new AI lyric music app called Lyrica, I believe. And now they are now working on creating beats for you, lyrics for you, instrumentation for you, there without an artist.
Wow. Okay. Aisha, you watching for anything in the upcoming week?
I'm watching out about I don't know if you've heard about it, but the SpaceX rocket,
it just blew up again.
Yeah, it tested. They went to do the first test and it blew up. Second test and it blew up
again. Yes.
Again. So I remember a lot of what we know about space and our space exploration and that stuff and our satellites and things are controlled by SpaceX. Elon Musk has the monopoly on that.
Yes,
and so
very true.
I want to know why this is happening, especially when we're in a place right now where, remember, we just had that spy balloon thing last year, and it's the satellites and things that track that stuff. So I'm going to be watching to see how he spins that this week, and then what the government does about it. And are we going to put energy, monies, and time and technology into other people and other engineers and creators of this kind of stuff? Because I don't think that one person should have that monopoly. Especially when he can't get them to fly.
There you go. All right, that's a wrap. So first things first, what we're going to do is thank everyone who took the time to hang out. But what we're going to do now is, LaLa, how can people get a
Hello,
hold of you?
It's cute.
You can reach me at Realty Goddess on all platforms.
I love it. That is great.
It's funny. I have a pink microphone actually myself.
Oh,
I actually have a pink microphone myself, actually, somewhere around here. You can find me on Instagram. The best place to reach me is the Discord. I'm gonna be there more often, especially now that we're doing the newsletter and everything. Happy holidays. Have everyone have a safe holiday over the next week.
All right. Fantastic. So we'll come back and have me here and we'll do this. Yeah. So, yes. So if you're happy holidays to American Thanksgiving, thank you so much for that. That's fantastic. And if you want to get in touch with me, website address, the drvibeshow.com, email address, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, X at drvibeshow, and Instagram at the drvibeshow. If you want to watch replays of this epic conversation, go to YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, or the website, the drvibeshow.com. This is how we close it out. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time. Manage your energy. We will see you next week. And again, Discord group and newsletter and other things are coming. So as a famous pastor said, get ready, get ready, get ready.